everything is going to work out 1,000 times better than you expect it to when you go with the flow, when you get out of the way, when you shift into alignment. But this goes against everything that we are taught and conditioned in life to believe is possible, is realistic, is appropriate. But that's all misguidance. And it's constantly holding us back from actually what's possible, what is beyond what we can comprehend with the mind, what is predictable through our familiar behaviors, our limiting beliefs. And this is how we subtly sabotage our process, how we undermine our true worth, how we neglect and abandon that infinite intelligence which is guiding us in each moment through our intuition and through our emotional guidance system, which is leading us, luring us, nudging us in the direction of our highest excitement, one step at a time. But you see, we impose onto this path limitations, expectations, ideas of what it should be or what it could be, but all of that is coming out of what we are aware of, what we anticipate, what we expect. And all of that emerges out of beliefs. And beliefs are inherently limited. But life is infinitely intelligent, and it is infinite possibilities. And we limit that unfolding, that expansiveness into something predictable and familiar and sort of safe. But this is all out of a sense of kind of fear and control that we've been taught is needed in order to be successful, in order to be fulfilled, in order to be safe or secure on the path towards your destiny or your success in whatever form that looks like, in terms of abundance, in terms of connection, in terms of your creative capacity and your expression. But there is this inherent, infinite, authentic intelligence, which is what you are. It is that creativity. It is that freedom. It is that love of being within you that wants to birth forth, that wants to guide you and nudge you towards that highest path, that calling, that purpose, that artistic or creative expression, that creation, that manifestation that is deep within you, that is one more step further, and which you know in your heart based on that frequency, that feeling that you have access to right now. And you see, it's such simple guidance. It's such inherent, innate wisdom that we have within us, which we come into this world knowing. And it's what we're following when we're young, right? We know what we want. We know what we don't want. We know what excites us. We know where this inspiration is leading us, not because we know the outcome, but because we know what it feels like. And we trust that. You see, we come into this world with great faith, with great trust, with great courage, a fearlessness in terms of knowing who we are, in terms of knowing what we want, in terms of knowing our creativity. But that is conditioned out of us, that we are taught to forget and to neglect and to abandon and to undermine because it doesn't fit in with society. It doesn't fit in with the world. It doesn't lead to success. It leads to risk. It leads to uncertainty. And we have all these funny programs, especially for artists, this starving artist, that we have to starve ourselves and spend a lot of time perfecting our craft. And maybe one day, probably when we're dead, we're going to be recognized for the work we did. Or when it comes to entrepreneurship and creating a business or any sort of self-sufficient expression, we have all these funny ideas around money that it requires hard work and money doesn't grow on trees and money is the root of all evil and all these funny things that contain our path to something that is a very limited idea as to what it could be. And so then we're not really following our inspiration. We're sort of navigating a minefield of other people's expectations and limiting beliefs that are imparted to us from society. And we're kind of walking on eggshells so that we don't rub people the wrong way and we don't step out of the boundaries of what's acceptable and appropriate. But this is all undermining that natural confidence, that innate, infinite intelligence, that emotional guidance, which is your innermost authentic self speaking to you, leading you to that promised land, so to speak. It is that fulfillment of your heart's desire. And it is the most fulfilling thing that you can do. And it's not necessarily one thing that you do. It's not like this purpose, which is this specific thing that you live out in your life, that you live up to in your life. It is, just as a child is, momentarily present to what is exciting, what is alive, what is creatively impulsed within you, that compelling force, which is pushing you in a certain direction. And you only need to look at a child to see how alive and vibrant this life force is. It's a deep well-being, and in it contains conviction and confidence and a courage and a authenticity, which is this real currency. It is a priceless commodity, which is that originality of your individuality. And we so easily overlook this, thinking that we need to fit into a mold and live up to a standard and kind of conform to a system in order to be paid or in order to be, taken care of or supported along this path of life. But it's so against the naturalness of what it can be. It's so against that infinite inspiration that it is within you, which is actually abundance. And that's why that authenticity of your true self is the real currency. And we see more and more of it online. You see it on Instagram, you see it on YouTube, you see it in all these platforms, these social media platforms, where more and more the people that we are drawn to in these spaces are just simply being themselves. And there's something so recognizable about what they're being, about what they're doing, where that's coming from, how authentic and original it is, how inspired it is, the happiness that's in that, the joy that's in that. And that is so compelling. It is so contagious that we start to recognize more and more that rather than doing the thing that works by society standards, we actually want something that's real. We want something that's true. We want something that's authentic. And funnily enough, that's become kind of the greatest fear, is that we are afraid to be who we really are, because we're afraid that that doesn't fit in with the world, that that doesn't lead to success, that that's not enough. But what I'm saying is that that's more than enough. It is everything that you came here to be. And until you actually really own that and live that and embody that, you'll always be chasing someone else's success. You'll try to live up to someone else's standard. You'll try to fall in line with a way of the world that is never going to be fulfilling, and it will never truly lead to success on your terms. And that's why this path the risks have changed, the consequences have changed, right? We think for a long time now that the risks are, if I don't go to school, if I don't follow the typical path, then the consequences will be that I won't be successful, that I won't be able to pay the bills. But actually it's flipped completely inside out now. And you can see this, as I said, everywhere you look, that now the risk is not following that inner spark, not being who you are, not authentically creating from your heart. And the consequences is that first and foremost, that you will live a life that is not true to you, and it will not be authentic to you, and it will not be fulfilling to you. And at some point in your life, sometimes we have it at the end of our life or in the midlife crisis, but more and more lately, it comes much earlier because we see the possibilities right in front of us, that we recognize that actually the greatest cost, the greatest consequence, the greatest risk is actually staying stuck where I am. And if you ask yourself, what is the cost of staying where I am, of staying small, of not pursuing my dreams, of not following my passion, of not taking the risk of acting on my inspiration, then you start to realize that actually life is so short and that it's so much more worth the risk, taking that courageous, bold step outside of the norms into your path, which is the path of least resistance, which requires the least effort, actually, because you don't have to do things that are not true to you. You don't have to take on things that don't feel natural to you. You don't have to live up to a way of an expert or a guru or this person or that person or this model or whatever it is that the world is telling you is needed in order for you to be fulfilled and successful. But actually you do it on your terms. And that's what you wake up in the morning and you think, I'm living my life and I want to wake up and I want to follow this passion and I want to find out how it's going to evolve. And the challenges just become another step along the way, and failure gets redefined because you're not failing or making mistakes, you're sort of failing forward into greater success. And in business and in sales, we know this because you sort of hype yourself and condition yourself to believe that it's going to take a series of no's, maybe 100 of no from people on the other side of the table in order to get to yes. So you sort of go in with that expectation, and this is what I'm talking about. You go in with this sort of expectation, this assumption, this knowing that it may not work out right away. It may not work out on the second chance. It may not work on the second try, the third try. But if I keep going and if I follow that feeling within, then I've already succeeded because it's true, and it's that fire, that passion within me that's actually the fuel. And when you have that, you have it all. And when you have that, you have success. And when you have that, the outcome, the end destination is inevitable because you're coming from the place from which that end is born out of. And so you see, this goes against everything that we are taught. But when you look at it from the point of view of a child, when you look at it through the eyes of a child, it's a good thing to let go all of the ways of the world because we come into this world knowing who we are, knowing what we want, knowing that creative spark, that true authentic currency which is our own. And somewhere along the way, we sell our soul and we give up that vision, that spark of our individuality. And now life is actually about reclaiming that. It's about letting go of the limitations that we've picked up. It's about freeing ourselves back into that spirit of our true self. And that is true success. That is true fulfillment. And that is true abundance. And when you have that, you have it all. And I know I've talked about this before, but this is the essence of my aligned creator blueprint. And if you haven't already had access to this, comment creator down below. I'll send you a link where you can learn more about it. It's a less than 50-page document which walks you through this whole exercise of uncovering and excavating that true self, that inner child, that original creative spark within you that is yours. That is why you are here. And it will lead wherever it leads, to your artistic expression, your business, that invention, that service that you're meant to offer, because it's a part of your original creative blueprint. And this is a whole beautiful experience to walk through with these questions and prompts and content that has you remembering the alignment of your true self, that you came into this life with the intention to embody and to realize and to manifest as your reality. And so if you're still listening and this is resonating and you haven't already had access to this, because now over 100 people have downloaded this blueprint, then comment creator down below and I'll send you a link where you can go through it and see if it's something that's for you.